Hey guys, it's Sarah. Okay, we are going to talk about all the books that I read for the month of October. October was interesting. October started off super strong. I was doing the Slayer Fest readathon. I was killing it. And then slump. And I went, oh crap. Not full slump. I didn't stop reading at all, but I slowed way down. Actually, I think I went a couple days without reading. I needed to give myself a break. I think doing the Bookoplathon in September and then doing this one right after was a little bit too much. So lesson learned. That's a little bit too much for me. I need more space in between my readathons, which is fine. But I did do half of Slayer Fest, so I got half of the prompts done. I did read 5 books for that. And then I did have 5 other books that I went ahead and read as well. So not too bad, I don't think. And then I am in the middle of another book. I'm more than halfway through it. I haven't quite finished it yet. I don't know that I'll finish it before the end of the month. So I'll probably just include that in my November wrap up because I don't even have a star rating in mind yet. We're still getting there. That one is The Dark Corners of the Night by Meg Gardner, which is book number 3 in her Unsub series. It's taken me a while to get through this one. I just wasn't picking up my Kindle very much. I was kind of more concentrating on the readathon books. And so I'm still making progress. I'm enjoying it a little bit more than I was in the beginning. I was a little afraid that it wasn't going to be what I wanted it to be, or it wasn't going to be as good as Unsub, but it's starting on an uptick. So I'm enjoying it more now that I'm more than halfway through it. So excited about that one. So that one will just be, included in my November, like I said, because I don't even have my full feelings wrapped up yet. I'm not sure, but I can talk about the ones that I finished up, and let's get into that. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is I finished a book that took me definitely 2 months to read, actually 2 months and then probably another extra week. But I finally finished North and South by John Jakes. This is a book that the Random Reads Book Club started with, and I believe we started in September. No. Was it July? August. Wow, I skipped a whole month there. That's how my brain is working right now. Yes, August and September was this book right here, and I finished it in the beginning of October. So it took me a little bit longer than 2 months, but that's okay. I loved this. I really did. I have always loved the miniseries. I watched it growing up with my mom because my mom read this trilogy, and then when the show came on, she was all over it, and my sister and I watched it with her as well. So I knew the story because I'd seen the miniseries. Now, there are definite differences. I actually plan to go back and watch the miniseries again and do a comparison video. So I think I'm going to try to plan that for the month of November, because there were definitely some differences that I just noticed off the top of my head. And I haven't seen the miniseries in years. I'm talking more than 10 years I haven't seen it, but I could tell differences already because I've seen it so often that I really remember it well. So I do plan to do another rewatch of it. This first book is actually only the first 6 episodes. So I'm just going to watch the first 6 episodes and then compare it to the book and talk about it that way, because then the next 6 episodes cover book 2, and then the last 6 episodes cover book 3. So that's kind of how I'm planning to do it. But yeah, loved it. Civil War historical fiction. It follows 2 soldiers who meet at West Point. One is from the South, one is from the North. And we all know how the Civil War happens. So these 2 men who find themselves best friends are on opposite sides of the war. It's fantastic. It's an entire family saga. The entire family from both of these men are involved. Oh, it's so good. This one got a 5 stars. And now we're going to move into my Slayer Fest reads. So I picked books for all these prompts. This first one was to pick a book for the character that you wanted to be. Now, this was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer readathon, and you kind of follow a map and you go to different locations, and each location is a different prompt. And the very first prompt that you do is to read a book based on the character that you want to be. And so this was hosted by Brittany at the Continuing Chronicles. I will leave her channel link down below. Please go follow her. She's fantastic. And so we pick a character and go from there. So my character was Buffy. because she had one of the best advantages, I think. She got to skip the last prompt. And so for that one, I read Slayer because I was supposed to read a book with a very strong female protagonist. So this one definitely, this is actually set in the Buffy Vampire Slayer universe. So it was 100% perfect to read for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer character prompt. I actually really enjoyed this book. Now, I know that there are people who are big Buffy fans of the show who did not like this book, and I can see why. This character does not like Buffy very much. They blame Buffy for a lot of their problems that they're having in their world. And she is mentioned in here, which is really interesting. So I can understand why people who really love Buffy and love the show and all that stuff would not like this. I get it. I don't have that background because I've never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. People have already yelled at me to watch it in all of its 90s glory. I get it. I'll get there. But yeah, so is it 90s or was it 2000s? When did Buffy the Vampire Slayer start? I don't remember because I didn't watch it. I was watching 90210, so it might have been the 90s. Yeah, I don't know. I do actually want to go back and watch it now, just because I'm so curious about it now. But yeah, so I did enjoy this book. Again, I don't have that background, so I think that's probably why I enjoyed it. But I gave it 4 stars, and I definitely want to read the sequel, which is Chosen. I think it's just a duology from what I'm understanding. So I do want to read the next one as well. But this is one I'll keep on my shelves. The next book that I read for the Slayer Fest was a light and fluffy read, and that was In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This is an arc of their most recent book, which came out in October. And oh my gosh, you guys, I loved it so much. I was so happy I loved it so much because I didn't love their latest release before this, which was the Honey Don't List. I didn't love that one. I liked it a lot. I gave it 4 stars, but it wasn't a favorite. I wanted more from it, but this one delivered, guys. Now, this one delivered because I don't mind the trope that is in here, which is a character who is reliving the same day over and over and over again. So it's kind of like a Groundhog Day type of trope. So if that's a deal breaker for you, you're not going to like this, don't pick it up. But I really enjoyed it. So we follow this family, or this girl. It's kind of a found family, actually. It's very interesting. It's a big group of friends who meet every single Christmas, and they always spend Christmas together, and they bring their families and all that stuff. Like, it's a tradition. They always go to this cabin in Utah that one of the families owns, and that's what they do. They spend Christmas together there. They've always done it. So we follow our character here, and something happens. She's really finding herself not in a good place and just kind of throwing it out to the universe that she needs some answers. She needs some signs, all that stuff. And that's when the relooping starts. And it's fantastic. And it's Christina Lauren, so it's funny. There is a swoon romance happening as well. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I enjoyed it so much. I read it really quickly. I just didn't want to put it down. So this one got 5 stars for me. I just realized I'm looking at my planner and the books that I read. I wrote down North and South twice. I did not read it twice. I just wrote it first and then I wrote it again. Again, that's how my brain's working right now because, yeah. All right, so the next book that I read for Slayer Fest was to read a short or quick read. Now, I did not pick a short read, but I picked a quick read, and that is Geminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is a book that is set in space, and it is told through a bunch of text messages and, things like this. So it goes really, really quickly. I listened to the audiobook of this while I read through it as well. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion, personally. I really liked it. And I loved this. I thought it was fantastic. So it's set in the same world. The same types of things are happening, but you're following different characters, a completely different ship. But there is a character that shows up in here from the first one as well. And he's one of my favorites. It's the Aiden character. I love him so much. He makes me laugh. And I loved it. So I loved this one. It's a great continuation. I'm really excited to see how things, because kind of at the end, things were tying together a little bit. So I'm really excited to read Obsidio, which is the 3rd book, and see kind of how everything concludes, because it is a trilogy. So highly recommend young adult science fiction. It's fantastic. And then the next one that I read for, again, Slayer Fest, is the oldest book on my TBR. And I picked this one out on camera because I went to my Goodreads shelf, and on my physical TBR, I looked to see what was my oldest one that I had added on there, and that was Molokai. This is by Alan Brennert. And this one is a historical fiction that takes place in Hawaii, and it follows a community that gets pretty plagued with leprosy. And because of that, they are sent to the island of Molokai, and they are like almost sentenced to live there for the rest of their lives, or until they can overcome this disease that no one really understands yet. And our main character, Rachel, is a young girl when she contracts this, is it a virus? Illness? Yeah. And so you follow her throughout this entire book, throughout her entire life, like pretty much from when she was a child to when she's an old woman. And you see how this illness affected her, how it affected her family, her relationships, all that stuff. And the crazy thing is, things like this actually happened, which I have never really been aware of. So that was really interesting. This is based a lot on history, even though it's historical fiction. I really enjoyed this a lot. It wasn't something that I couldn't put down. It did take me a little bit to get through this one, but I did really enjoy it. And I gave it 4 stars, but it was really interesting. I really liked the main character. I liked a lot of the characters in here. It was sad to me the way that people were treated, and I'm sure that that's accurate. And it's not as bad, but it reminded me a little bit too much of how people are treating each other today. You know, don't cough in Walmart. People will look at you like you have the plague. You know what I mean? So it's just, obviously it's not the same, but it was a little bit reminiscent. So that was a little like, ugh, but I did really enjoy this one. It's a good read. The next one that I picked up is actually not for the Slayer Fest. It was just a nonfiction book that I wanted to pick up because I have been in a big time, I guess, not soul searching, but really doing some studying on productivity and time management and things like that, because that's an area I've really been struggling with in my life lately. And I picked up this book from the library. It's one that I had heard about before, and I was always really interested in it. So I decided to just go ahead and pick it up and dive in. And that is Big Dreams, Daily Joy. This is by Elise Blaha Kripe, and she is someone that I have followed for a while. I actually started following her through kind of some scrapbooking. She did some scrapbooking for a while. I think she's kind of veered away from that for right now, but she is definitely a creator, and she has started creating planners, and I actually get her planners. I use her planner as my daily planner every day. This is, oh gosh, I think the 4th one that I'm getting. All right, I just got my 4th one. I really like it. It's very easy for you to make it what you want it to be, and that's what I really need in a planner. And I really liked it a lot. It's called the Get to Work book. So if you guys are interested in checking it out, I'll leave it linked down below. I absolutely love it. And so I wanted to get her book because I just appreciate her and her work and her as a person. So I read it and I really, really liked it a lot. Actually, I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really helpful. I took a lot of notes on it, and it's, you know, it's all about kind of goal setting more than anything. She's very big on setting goals and, you know, taking different steps to meet them, and recognizing what's working and what's not working. And you're not going to reach all your goals, and you need to be okay with that. You know, it's okay to let go of things. If they're not working for you, don't force it. And then, you know, just figuring out what you're passionate about. And quite a few things really struck home for me. There was a whole bit about, you know, looking at your life like an email inbox. You know, what did you sign up for? What have you committed to? And then what's junk and spam that's just kind of taking up room in your life when it wasn't invited? And, you know, how can you opt out of those things? So that kind of stuff really struck a chord with me. So really liked it. Again, I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really, really helpful. And yeah, it was a good one. And the next one, we're going to go back to Slayer Fest now. This one was for the next book in a series, and I picked up book number 2 in the Grant County series, which is Kiss Cut by Karen Slaughter. And I'm not going to give you my star rating yet because this was on my 5-star predictions list. So I'll talk about that more when we do our follow-up. But I It's Karen Slaughter. I loved it. I thought it was great. This one had a really hard topic because it deals with some child abuse and child molestation. So that was hard to read. So very, very tough topic in this one, but done really well the way that she does. And yeah, it was good. So that's all I'm going to say about that one, but book number 2 in her Grant County series. And then the last book that I have to talk about is, again, for Slayer Fest, and this is where I kind of stopped after this one. But this one was to read a book set in a school. So I picked up A School for Unusual Girls. This is by Kathleen Baldwin. This one was sent to me by Krista from Books and Jams for a part of our book exchange that we did last year. And this one has all my buzzwords in it. There's a magic school. Yes. There's girls with strange abilities. Yes, absolutely. It's historical. Sign me up. Unfortunately, I didn't like it. And it's okay. I've already talked to Krista about it. She's like, girl, don't worry about it. You're not going to like everything. So it just didn't quite work for me. And the reason is I did not like the main character. She drove me nuts, drove me crazy. She was very insecure. I didn't like that. Okay, I think it was a little bit misleading is what I'm going to say. It's not really a magic school, number one. It is a school for unusual girls, but their abilities are so vague. I didn't really get a feel for any of them. I know that one girl can kind of tell the future, but not really. It's not super reliable. One girl can see what's happening right now. Sometimes our main character is really good at chemistry, and that's supposed to be unusual. Okay. And then there are characters who I don't know what their abilities are because they were never really touched on. I think one of them has kind of like a bond to animals or something. It's just, like, I can't even really describe it all that great because it wasn't described very good in the books. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to like really get into these girls' abilities and see them being used. But this is told from our main character's perspective, and she's not really seeing anything either and doesn't understand anything. Therefore, we don't understand anything. So that was a little disappointing. There was also a very handsome lord, I think, who, of course, is attracted to our main character, and he's trying to deny it and blah, blah, blah. She has zero self-confidence, does not believe that anyone like him could, be attracted to a girl like her. Okay. And there was one passage that bothered me. So our main character has red hair, right? And this guy who is attracted to her makes it sound like, I can't believe I'm attracted to someone with red hair. Ugh. And I'm like, what's wrong with red hair? Red hair is awesome. People dye their hair to be red because it's amazing. So that kind of bothered me a little bit. I don't usually let that kind of stuff bother me, but I think I was just kind of bothered by other stuff anyway. And I was just like, really? So I don't know. It might have just been my mood. So this one didn't quite work for me. I gave it 2 stars. I liked the premise of it, but I don't think that the way it was written lived up to the premise. So not for me. Okay, so that was 9 books. I had 10 on here, but I wrote down one of them twice, and that doesn't count. But I did also get, more than halfway through The Dark Corners of the Night. So there is that too. But okay, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys read in the month of October. Was it a good reading month for you? Has your reading stalled out? Quite a few people I know have had their reading stall out recently, so it's been a little interesting with that. I'm sorry, I keep looking off into the windows because it's snowing right now. It's snowing, guys. Yeah, it's not sticking, but it's definitely snowing, and it's been snowing since, it's been snowing for 3 or 4 hours now. It's been raining for 2 days straight. It was still raining this morning when my girls went to school, and then probably around 11 o'clock it started snowing, and it's been snowing ever since, and it is now 2:30. It just has not stopped. There has been something falling from the sky consistently for 3 days straight. So that's what we're dealing with right now. It's fine. It's definitely fine because I don't have to go out in it. Okay, that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.